Hey, welcome to another episode of Two Brothers, Same Mother. We have a great show for you. I have it written out here, and fuck it. Doug Pederson's fired, threw everything out. So, what I see, AJ, you got your stuff up. What's going on?
What's up? Only thing I got to say is
Are you celebrating the man being fired? How we hit him low, how we hit him high, and stabbed him in the back as he went by. Doug will be coaching the JETS Jets.
all right. So, thank fucking God, dipshit Doug is gone. Howie needs to be on out next, but it's not going to happen. But guess what? One down, one to go. I will take one being gone without the other one. You get what I'm saying? And the reason I say this before you get into your thing, and I'm pretty sure you got a lot to talk about. I was kind of somewhat cool with Doug coming back because it was obvious that they were going to make him start offense coordinator. When he went last week, and then I saw the reports on Twitter and stuff like that of what his plan was, like how he refuses to give up play calling, how he was going to promote the other dipshit, Press Taylor to fucking offensive coordinator, who was also our passing game coordinator, who also helped in the regression of historical matters of a quarterback. Like, yo, deuces. If anybody could blame Jeffrey Lurie after seeing his plan of what Doug Pederson's plan was, and it's obvious they probably told him, yo, listen, let's come back to this week. Next week, we'll revisit. I'm not like what I'm saying. I mean, Doug, it literally came out that Jeffrey Lurie to his plan was like, you're kidding me, right? This can't be your plan. And Doug was like, yes. And then Doug probably came back with him today in Florida and was like, you know what I mean? Like, bro.
Now, I don't have an issue with any points that you made. Obviously, we've been talking for weeks now. I never like to celebrate anybody getting fired. I think it's a shame it came down to this, but I understand why the move is being made. However, my feeling is Howie Roseman is the bigger problem. And you're not saying that he isn't. You're just saying that you wanted both gone, if I'm understanding that correct.
Mm-hmm.
So Ian Rappaport basically reported that it came down to Doug Pederson said, I'm tired of other people telling me what to do. And Jeffrey said, well, that's nice. I own the team. So if you don't like it, you can leave. And Doug said, all right. Now, with all that being said, Doug cannot bring everybody back. So if that was his game plan, I understand it. This goes back to, honestly, like last year. I feel like this whole year was set up for failure mentally because Doug was still pissed off about the Mike Rowe thing. And the biggest thing for me that I'm sad, not because like I'm this big believer in Doug. I'm just sad that a guy who a couple of years ago we were looking at as one of the, top 5 rising stars in head coaching, possibly a top 5 head coach in the NFL, has come down to this, man. Like, you want to talk about regression. You talk about regression of Carson Wentz. The regression of Doug Pederson as a coach, it's just a shame.
I mean, it sucks. To the aspect of just as Eagles fans, you know what I mean? That we're going through all this, but at the same time, man, like you look at it. So when Doug came in, okay, the defensive, like Howie and them picked his coaching staff. Doug gets credit for hiring Frank Reich and defense. No, those guys were hired, and I hate giving Howie any credit, but they were hired by Howie. I'm sure Doug had somewhat of a say. Deuce was already here. Jeff Stoutland was already here. They had hired Schwartz like 2 weeks before they even hired Doug. They bought in all this stuff, right? Then year two, they win the Super Bowl. Because of this, a lot of people leave, right? And especially with the development of Carson with DeFilippo and right. So when it was so obvious of how the offense looked from 2016, 2017 to 2018 till 2020, it's just crazy. So in 2018, they allowed Doug to pick his staff because you won the Super Bowl. Okay, you were a first-year head coach that never called plays. We picked your staff. You've won the Super Bowl. Let's give you a green light. And this dipshit hires Carson Walsh and
Mike Rowe.
And Mike Rowe to replace the other two. That's actually when the decline of Carson Wentz went. That's when the decline of this offense.
By the way, go ahead, continue your point, because there's something I heard that I want to correct on too.
That's why Howie stepped in, and Jeffrey. Well, actually, it wasn't even Howie. Jeffrey Lurie stepped in. Was just like, hell no, like yo, what? This is who you got to, and this is what we.
Jeffrey Lurie has a lot of work to do. I say that because there's way too many leaks. The fact that, first and foremost, I don't like the fact that Doug Pederson's game plan for what he's going to do this year became public. It didn't have to become public. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, seeing it public, you understand, just like how you just laid out, why you get rid of him. Oh, what are you doing? Everybody gets a promotion after a 4-11-1 season? That don't seem right.
Right. And then you want to promote the dude. It's, you know what I mean, that was the coach of the quarterback that in one season regressed historically.
Right.
Not in Eagles history, NFL
history.
Regressed so bad. Like, you've never seen something like that happen.
I don't like the story, too, that came out. Now, and I do say story. We don't know if it's true or false or whatever, that Jeffrey Lurie was considering firing Doug Pederson after the 2016 season, after his first year, because of bickering between Carson and Doug after their first year. And they actually interviewed Jim Schwartz for the head coaching job while Doug was still there. Whether that's true or not, I don't like that story coming out either. Why is that story coming out?
Man, you're going to hear all kinds of weird stories. People are going to nitpick now to find out where this stems from. Of course, people are going to go back to Carson's rookie year because you could sell there. Even back then, there was some type of tension between them two. When Doug came out and criticized Carson's, actually his footwork, and his decision making, and Carson was just like, "There's nothing wrong with my footwork and decision making." So, then the next year, and I think, and it goes back to what we've talked about before. Sometimes if you have those coaches that can mediate that and, you know what I'm saying, like work through that, which I think DeFilippo and Frank Reich. And people think that Carson is uncoachable. Almost to a degree he is, but it's like he demands to be challenged almost. You get what I'm saying?
And I wanted to correct this real quick because I heard a prominent Philadelphia personality say this, that Carson Wentz didn't like Mike Rowe and Mike Rowe was gone. Carson Wentz didn't like Doug Pederson and Doug Pederson's gone. Carson Wentz didn't like who was the quarterback's coach that he had? DeFilippo, and DeFilippo's gone. That last part is not true at all. DeFilippo had a chance to become the offensive coordinator somewhere else. He left for a promotion. And then the Colts hired Frank Reich. They were supposed to hire Josh McDaniels. If Frank Reich would have left before that DeFilippo thing would have happened, I'm pretty confident DeFilippo would have been the offensive coordinator. So a couple things I'm looking at Twitter. And I want to say two things, and I'll let you react. And then we're going to move on to kind of possible what people I've heard that are linked to possibly being, coaches here. One, John Clark for NBC Philadelphia is reporting that sources are saying Doug Pederson is at peace with what's happened today and that he agrees that it was better for both sides.
he may be dumb, but he isn't class. He is a
He's
class
very
act.
classy, absolutely. So I think it's Les Bowen got caught up with Brandon Graham and asked him about the firing. And Brandon Graham's response was, "I guess the meeting didn't go well."
Right.
I mean,
That right there, it's funny.
I don't know why that just
That
made me
right
laugh.
there,
Like,
there goes to show.
now Brandon Graham also said, and I actually agree with this. If I had to say with who they should interview, I would ask that Jeffrey Lurie interviews Deuce Staley.
I'll tell you right now.
I don't know if he
A
gets the
lot
job,
of
but I would like to see him interview.
I know how he should go, but the reason why I think the reason why more people, not people, sorry, the team leaned more on Doug than they did Howie in this situation is because Howie's smart, bro. Howie is smart and he knows how to play the game. It's obvious they brought in John Dorsey to help Howie with the draft because it has come out now that John Dorsey is going to assist Howie with the draft. Okay? Howie, unlike Doug, Howie was probably like, yeah, sure. Anybody to help, Mr. Lurie. Sure, Jeff. You know what I mean? Cool. All right. Anything to make this team better. Where Doug was just like, nah, I'm calling the plays. It's my team. I'm calling the plays. No, this is who I want. No. Look, you get what I'm saying? Jeffrey Lurie was like, oh, okay. I mean, Howie Roseman's better as a suck ass. I mean, but I it's not that I have faith in Howie. I have faith in John Dorsey.
So some coaching candidates that have been linked already.
Mm-hmm.
The two hottest names, and I say hottest, just people who have come up.
Right.
Jeffrey Lurie always likes college coaches, so there's always going to be one hot name. And the hot name, it seems to be Urban Meyer. The other name, which seems more realistic, but I hope doesn't come here either, is Chiefs quarterback coach Mike Kafka.
Stay away from Urban Meyer.
I say stay away from both, to be honest with you. And I don't know if Kafka could do a good job or not, but I just don't think he's experienced enough.
I wouldn't. I don't think he's experienced enough. Number one. If you wanted to bring him in as an OC, that wouldn't bother me.
Right.
If you wanted to bring in the guys I would like to see, honestly, is the Eric Bieniemy is number one.
I was going to go through a bunch of names. Hold on. It was
sorry.
a setup. Yes, you're jumping the gun.
Sorry.
But let's start there. Okay, I'll give you two more names that I've seen linked. Okay. Supposedly Eric Bieniemy, if we want him, we're going to be in a bidding war with the Jets. Speaking of the Jets, one name that actually has popped up a few times that supposedly Jeffrey Lurie really likes, according to all sources, and thinks would do well with Carson Wentz is Adam Gase. Yeah. That answers my question. So on Zoom it goes by your what you say, so that's what comes up on camera. The look, say something to give that look again.
Fuck no. No.
Now to go back to what you said about Adam Gase maybe being an offensive coordinator, I think that might be more realistic depending on who they coach.
Well,
and why would hold on before you go into that, because I just don't want to forget. Why did you think Eric Bieniemy would be your number one choice?
The Andy Reid tree, kind of like Doug. The only difference is that Bieniemy seems to be like more not geared towards the run, but a little bit more run oriented.
A couple of names that kind of popped up was Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. Mm-hmm. And supposedly they are trying to set up a meeting. I can't believe I'm saying this, with Jason Garrett. So I'm not even going to ask you to comment on that. But Brian Daboll from the Bills.
I had a second choice as head coach. It probably would be him. Just because the development of how he developed Josh Allen and how Josh Allen was supposed to be the poor man's Carson Wentz. Because I don't see them bringing a head coach in and then trading Wentz. I think if Doug would have stayed and Doug would have did the whole, okay, whatever it takes, if you guys want me to relinquish play calling, I'll help you guys find an offensive coordinator, something like that. I think if that was more Doug's response, I think he would have stayed on. And I think at that point, that's when Carson probably would have gotten traded. But I think now with Doug being gone, that almost at this point, I would be surprised that Carson gets traded at this point. Where a week ago, it was the opposite.
Last two names I'm going to bring up. One who is the hot young name, and another guy with local ties, Joe Brady, who is the guy that was the offensive coordinator of those LSU Tigers and quarterbacks coach for the Panthers this year, and Greg Roman, which I know is from Atlantic City, obviously offensive coordinator for the Ravens.
You know who, and you're gonna laugh at me. You know who, and I know the offensive coordinator for the Ravens.
You don't like Greg Roman?
No.
I think if Greg Roman did come here, then Wentz is out of here.
Yes, and I was getting ready to say that. Only if you decide you're still going to move on from Carson, and he would be a good head coach for Hurts if you're going with Hurts. Here's here is a coach, a coaching tandem that I would like to see. I'm not saying like, I wouldn't mind seeing with as option 3 is bringing Steve Spagnuolo as a HC and then promote Deuce up to OC.
It's a shame because I think we would do really well to have a defensive-minded coach, but Jeffrey Lurie is hell-bent on offense.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if you promote Deuce and then you hire Kafka, Deuce, run, Kafka, you know what I'm saying?
Right, and
pass
Spags.
them two, and then you add Spags. You can have a DC, but almost the opposite of what Doug, a head coach who can, you know what I'm saying, like oversee the defense more. And this way he don't have, and he could, and you have 2 offensive-minded guys. Then you have Stoutman as the offensive line coach. I think that would probably actually be kind of dope too.
Yeah, I mean, the one other name that I've seen once or twice, just because of the fact, when they hired Doug Pederson, they mentioned, he's a former quarterback and, his relationship with the players and all that, is Byron Leftwich. But I would be a super long shot. And honestly, I think Byron Leftwich is a good coach. I don't know if he's ready to be a head coach. He's only been offensive coordinator, I think, for a year. But I think, and he's getting really good tutelage. Has it been 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. And that
offense has been decent, but look at their weapons that they have in Tampa Bay.
And they've just been decent. And then you have to go that quarterback with all the weeks, and they're just decent.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
they have a fucking
all-Madden quarterback, and then the year before you had a quarterback throw 30 picks. Like it's
Yo, but you had to go. You get what I'm saying? And your offense was okay.
And they need O-line.
Offense should have looked like that. Offense should have crushed that Patriots 08 or whatever team with Moss and them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know, man. Listen, Doug Pederson unfortunately turned into an awful coach, but I think he did a great coaching job in 2017. You could disagree. You could think that he was just a dumb this whole time. It is what it is. It don't really matter. He's not here no more.
True. He's dumb.
Now, yes. So, speaking of dumb, Frank Wright not going forward on 4th down. People say that cost him the game against the Bills. Coach of the year, Frank Wright.
It could have.
I actually like Frank Wright. Let me stop talking shit about Frank Wright because I really like him. It was a very good game. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I feel like all the playoff games ended up being pretty decent.
That Bears game was boring as fuck.
It was still, it was boring. It was boring.
Boring.
It was one of those games where you were looking at the Saints like, why won't you just put them away?
Yeah, I turned it off and started playing Tecmo Super Bowl until the 8 o'clock game.
So, people, I'm getting text messages. I was over AJ's house watching the game. I had to come back because the doggo needed a walk. and I'm getting text messages. Yo, Eagles suck in Techno Super Bowl. Like, we're talking about the 1991 roster.
I mean, I was undefeated, but still, man, it was.
It's just so funny. Just about a game that was designed 29 years ago.
That was a struggle.
By the way, just random sidebar. Sometime in the next couple of weeks, we are trying to put together a Tecmo Super Bowl tournament, and we'll either play some clips or broadcast it live. We're not sure yet, but just to have a little bit of fun, man. I feel like everything that's happened the past 11 days, whether you're talking about nationally, globally, with the Eagles, all that, we need some fun in our lives. So,
I mean, are you having a party? Because I'm not having a Tecmo Bowl party until pandemic's over.
I didn't say a party.
It's a tournament, which to me
you don't have to
relates to party.
You don't have to be together to play a tournament. There's this thing called internet. You could do it like that.
Yeah, that's I almost said a politically incorrect statement, but
what, to play online?
No.
What is your objection? I wasn't saying we're going to have like 20 people at your house and drinks and all that. I was just saying we might have a Techno Super Bowl tournament that we're going to be brought. We talked about this. I don't understand.
That's not a tournament. You talked about me and you playing a game of the two championship teams.
And then you mentioned something about having a tournament in the next couple of weeks.
No, I didn't. I said when the pandemic is done and I have confirmation through Facebook and via text from people.
I got to talk to you before you drink your cranberry and
no.
But that's okay. Listen, it's good to be responsible. At some point, we're trying to have some content with some Tecmo Super Bowl. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably AJ and he don't want to, have me bust him, by 42 points like I normally do. So.
Fuck out of here. And it's not vodka and cranberry. It's tequila and Sunny D.
Make it much better. Anywho, playoff games.
I think I was undefeated when
I don't even know what the picks were. After this Doug Pederson stuff, I threw it out. I said Tampa Bay was going to win. I said Cleveland was going to win. You said Cleveland was going to win. I said the Saints were going to win. You said the Saints were going to win. Did we pick all the same? I think the only difference was you picked the Ravens and I picked the Titans.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because I know we both picked the Bills. We both picked the Browns. And then we both picked Tampa Bay. We both picked New Orleans.
No.
I picked the Rams. You picked the Seahawks.
Did I pick Seattle?
Yeah. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah, because I said I kind of was like 50-50 because I said if Jared Goff plays, they win. But if they don't, he loses.
Well, Jared Goff didn't start, so.
Yeah, so.
It doesn't matter. So you got a tie. There you go. It didn't save Doug Pederson's job.
I must be an Eagles fan because we got a tie. The 2020 season continues.
But your takeaways from the playoffs, anything in particular?
The Ravens are dangerous.
They're gonna get blown out.
Buffalo struggled a little bit, but I think they took the next step as a team and Josh Allen as a quarterback because the previous years when they were in the playoffs, when they struggled, like Josh Allen just completely fell off, would fall apart and they didn't. They just kind of stayed the course even when things were going wrong.
I want to ask you something because you gave me all this shit about the party stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You were on record saying that the Bills and the Browns in the AFC Championship game, you're throwing a party.
Yes.
I think it's going to happen.
Bruh, listen.
I think the Browns are going to go into KC and upset those Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are as good as they make it out to be. And now, I mean, they're explosive. They can make up for 40 minutes of bad play like that.
Listen, it would be awesome.
And I think the Bills are going to beat the Ravens by 10 points.
Let's be real, okay? Let's be real. Pittsburgh spotted the Browns 28 points, and the Browns still almost lost.
Yeah, but Cleveland didn't have their top two starting corners, their starting defensive end, or like half the coaching staff.
You got spotted 28 points and almost lost.
To a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Ben, oh, that's another thing I was gonna say. Ben is a Hall of Famer, but
I thought we all agreed on that.
Ben, whether you feel he's like a sexual deviant and a weirdo and a douchebag.
Oh man, listen, sports Hall of Famers are filled with people that are fucked up.
Yeah, but I think this should be the last hurrah for Ben.
I
don't think it is.
I think Ben and Philip need to
be.
sit with Eli and just chill.
Yeah, for real. And they need to polish their Super Bowl rings in front of Philip. And then pointed at his kids and said, if you focus more on football, you would have more of these than all of them.
Philip got 18 kids. They'll take on both of them.
Right.
You know, the interesting thing too, though, I was impressed. Granted, he might just play the game of his life, but the kid Heineke from Washington.
Heineke.
Yeah, I mean, he made the most of his opportunity.
He earned the opportunity to be on the NFL roster next year.
Absolutely. He I think the Bears were who we thought they were basically. I think Mitchell Trubisky played himself out of a job.
They should have bought Nick in at the halftime. He would have saved it.
No, I think Nick is still hurt.
Is he?
Yeah.
And that was just strictly sarcasm, people.
I know. You got to specify that sarcastic. I will say this, man. I hope it looked like Drew Brees is a little shot, and I hope he's not, because I'm kind of looking forward to this Brees versus Brady matchup.
Man, Brees has been shot for 2 years though. Like, it's just that he's just been surrounded by talent. Like, I started seeing the decline last year. And
I do think Green Bay. So seriously, I think the Bills are going to beat the Ravens by 10 points, not because the Ravens aren't good. I just think the Ravens were so focused on the Titans. I don't know if they're going to be able to get back up for the Bills. I could be wrong.
That was a highly emotional win, man.
Right,
and
right.
Sometimes I can look over it. It could be negative or great. You know what I'm saying? Because that could boost your confidence, or it can. You know what I'm saying?
But
and that's another thing, to go with Josh Allen. Listen, I can't stand the Ravens, but to go with the Josh Allen maturation where he didn't fall apart, Lamar Jackson
picked himself
for the third year in a row threw a very bad pass, got interception early in the playoff game. The difference is he didn't continue to make those mistakes. So that was good to see, just from another young quarterback in his maturation and growing into being a starter.
Absolutely. I mean, these playoff games coming up, I think the only game that really isn't going to be close is I don't care who starts. I think the Packers are going to run away with it in Lambeau against the Rams.
Yeah.
Now,
you know what's crazy, man? Nobody gives that Packer defense credit. That Packers defense is legit, bro.
Right. And I was speaking with my heart. Honestly, I think the Chiefs and the Bills are going to be in the AFC Championship game. I'd love for it to be the Browns, but it's not. Would you agree it's Chiefs and Bills, or do you think it's going to be Chiefs Ravens?
Chiefs Bills.
And in
I think it's going to be a close game, though. A lot closer than. I think it's going to be more like under 7 points between the Ravens and Bills.
I think it's going to be the Bills going to have a 3-point lead and score a touchdown towards the end to seal it, make it 10. But in the NFC, I think the Packers went away with the Rams. Do you agree that the Packers are going to beat the Rams?
Yes.
What's your pick out of the Saints Bucks?
Say Bucks.
I think the Bucks win too.
And I think, and honestly, I know the Buccaneers blew Green Bay out, but I think I will get there when that happens. But
yeah. Well, I think Green Bay gets the revenge. I think it's going to be a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl.
So do I.
You just going the cheese heads against the barbecue. But
but I will say this: if there is a team, in my opinion, if there is a team that uh is to the knockoff Kansas City, it is Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. So we were going to talk a little draft to talk about the Eagles quarterback situation. I mean, Doug Pederson being let go, I think changes a lot. I don't know if how we can make a pick without having a coach, or if they do, that's just not smart. Any team who has started making picks without having their head coach, it has not worked out well for them.
First of all, I think the start of the new league year is March 1st. You have to have a coach by March 1st.
Right.
The draft is until fucking what, end of April. If you're not, if you don't have a head coach like the 20th of fucking April, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Really wrong.
Yeah, nah.
I just listen, man.
I think we're gonna have a head coach within the next 2-3 weeks. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna freak out if the head coach is Mike Kafka. There's only a couple people I'd freak out about. If it's Adam Gase or if it's Jason Garrett, I'm going to be extremely pissed.
Or Urban Meyer.
I would be upset. I don't think I would be as pissed if it's Urban Meyer as opposed to the other two, but I would be pretty high up there.
I mean, shit, at least you can say the other two have fucking NFL experience. Fuck, like, we've been down this fucking road. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when Chip left such a stale, like, name one college coach outside of Matt Rule in recent history that has been somewhat successful.
I mean, to be fair,
let's be real.
That, how many college coaches have come in and been head coaches in the past 10 years?
There's been a few, but
I mean, very, very few. There's been, matter of fact, the only one I can really think of, honestly, was Chip, and he was so off the wall. You got Matt Rule, who did have some head coaching experience prior to that. And I'm trying to think of really anybody else, honestly. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, yeah. I mean, so there's been some guys that have come in and then been offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, that type of stuff. But I think that's the thing. The days of taking a head coach from college and then just hiring them into the pros as a head coach, I kind of gone the way of the dodo, man. Now, Urban Meyer technically is an analyst. I can't see Urban Meyer being hired, man. I just like they talk about Lincoln Riley, I can't see Lincoln Riley being hired. Obviously, if Lincoln Riley did get hired, then we're sticking with Jalen Hurts. Cliff Kingsbury over at the Cardinals, he's had some success.
Yeah. There's a few coaches I wouldn't mind. But there is, like, I don't know, man, maybe. Listen, I make it known my two favorite radio shows are on two different channels. And one is Anthony Gargano on 97.5, and the other was Ike Reese on WIP. And maybe I allowed Anthony Gargano to talk me into the whole Spags thing, but I wouldn't mind seeing that.
So we are in agreement that the NFC Championship games are going to be Bucks at Packers. AFC Championship game is going to be Bills at Chiefs.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, the last thing I said was if there was a team that beat the Chiefs, it would be
the Bills.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Let's get into our 5-pack of questions.
You know what? After this Doug Pederson shot, I forget what the questions are, so we're just going to shoot from the hip, which I hate.
All right,
we're
man.
We're going to do it any fucking way.
Be a little careful with those guns, man. So, your favorite NFL playoff moment that did not involve the Philadelphia Eagles, which, by the way, moment in history, this week, actually, we're shooting this on the 11th, so it would be today. If I could be off on that, but I believe. But this week, 17 years ago, your son's almost 17. We watched it during your wife's baby shower, 4th and 26.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
17 years ago today was the birth of Fred X. So just
that was crazy.
Little moment in history there.
I think that's 17 years ago, but yeah, it's crazy.
Right. I know it doesn't seem that long ago.
Right.
But favorite NFL playoff moment that didn't involve the Eagles?
I'll go 10 years prior to that, maybe around the same time. Buffalo and Houston. That was a fun game to watch.
Yo, I was going to say that's the first time I remember. We've always bonded over football. So this is the first time I remember you being excited about a game that had nothing to do with the Eagles. So for me, I mean, the big thing was the 2014 playoffs because it seemed like it was poetic justice on the NFC. You got the Lions and Cowboys playing. Lions should have won, but they didn't call pass interference against the Cowboys. Then the Cowboys go on to Green Bay. The Cowboys should have won, but you had that infamous "it's not a catch" when Des Bryant really caught the ball.
Right.
And then the Packers should have beat the Seahawks, but the one dude for the Packers didn't know what to do on an onside kick. And then in the Super Bowl, the Russell Wilson throws the game. It just seemed like that whole playoffs was poetic. Just like the NFL guys were like, "We're gonna get this right."
Right.
And it was just, I just remember that particular playoffs was just like every single game, especially on the NFC side, was just like
One of the main reasons, other than the simple fact of that whole with that Buffalo game, I remember that being the 1 o'clock game, and the 4 o'clock game was the Eagles Saints game. And what's crazy about that is that if Houston holds on to win that game, the comeback story of the weekend would have been the Eagles coming back on the Saints because they were down 20-3 at one point in that game. So I was just it was like back-to-back comeback games. But that Buffalo game was just insane. Like the Bills Mafia, that crowd coming through the TV, even back then without the HD sound and surround sounds back then, it was still insane. It was just mad fun.
Worst playoff moment that doesn't involve the Eagles, and that could be most boring game or whatever.
Worst. Now, once again, I'm shooting from the hip, so there's probably going to be one, but this is the one that's probably the worst one for me because it re-kicked and off the fucking Cowboys was the 90. Was that the 90? Was that the
92?
3 Super Bowl? Same year?
Their first Super Bowl or their second of the three-peat?
The first Super Bowl. That was 92, right?
92.
Yeah, 92. Because it kicked off. All of a sudden, I had just moved to Maryland the summer of 92. And that football season, as the season went on, like all of a sudden everybody's fucking Cowboys fans. And it just ran off until this day. It just ignited.
So the two that came to mind for me, 2 years ago, that Super Bowl, the Rams-Patriots was just god-awful.
Yeah.
And Dan Marino's last game, where they lost like 62-3 or something like that.
To Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
You could also throw in now you say that you could throw in the 98 Super Bowl.
98.
Atlanta, Denver.
Yeah. See, here's the thing for me. To me, the Super Bowl 2 years ago was the most boring one. Atlanta, Denver was 3 for me. But I actually like John Elway, so I think that's why. Number 2 was that Niners-Chargers. I actually fell asleep during that Super Bowl. Granted, I was like 10 years old, but
The Niners-Chargers were just fun because you never really seen a team just like score like that. Like it was just bananas.
which Philadelphia team do you think is closest to a championship and why?
The Sixers are because of coaching.
Oh, I would actually say the Flyers, but I think the Sixers are a close second. And then I would say the Eagles and the Phillies are a distant fourth. And if you want to include the Union, they're in there, but we don't talk soccer, and I don't want to see why we would. So, so here's an interesting one. Now, this could be right now, if you're going to watch the game, or when you were an athlete. Favorite pregame meal? And I'll go because, I came up with these questions, so I already have an answer in my head.
Right.
When I played football, and actually I enjoy it too if I'm home by myself, not if I'm out with people. I don't know what it was, but I loved eating chicken parm on game day. Chicken parm with spaghetti for some odd reason. Whenever I had that, I maybe it was just because of the carbs of the spaghetti. I wouldn't get tired during the game at all. And B, it's something that I really like. Now, part of the reason why I'm so damn big now is I eat it now and forget to do any exercise. But I've always liked chicken parm with spaghetti, especially for some reason with athletics. It always meshed together with me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I never had a pregame meal when I played any sport. Um, Ironically, two things. Chicken parm is my favorite dish, period.
Really? I never do
Uh,
that.
yes.
I have never
And
seen you eat chicken parm in my
it's because
life.
you're never here. It's because you're never here on my birthday.
That's because your birthday
Um,
is always like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Get born on a weekend. Fix your date.
ever since like I moved here, like that summer. So my first birthday living in Maryland was 1993, January 93. And ever since that, January 7th, 1993, every year on my birthday, or roughly within, maybe not that same day, but around that time, my birthday dinner is always chicken parm.
I promise I had no idea. So this was not
Yeah.
a setup. That's what's up though. All right.
And funny thing is that you say about the pasta thing, which I wish I had when I was in school. The kids, they have a before they actually leave school and go into the cafeteria, leave class around 1 o'clock, and actually have pasta and stuff. Elton High School does for the players.
Man, my
So
high school
for that,
didn't have pasta ever.
and right, that's
There
what
was
I'm
a
saying.
pizza spot across the street from me that I would buy stuff from
The
because
closest thing we had was that square Elio's pizza in
you're
the
right.
fucking. That was our pasta. But
Maybe you'd get an encore heat up chicken.
yeah, I mean, so now, like now, if I had to choose something, it's on opening weekend of the NFL. Prior to this past season, as you know, I normally have a cooler full of beer and just a bunch of wings and shit, man, and I love that.
Is it okay if I tell the Kool-Aid story?
I mean, oh, the
That's not
scoops.
a
That,
meal,
that was
but
my
yeah,
pre.
I just wanted you to tell that
As an
story.
athlete, when I played in sports, yeah, that was. I used to take the pre-made Kool-Aid and I used to take the scoops to get me all sugar hot like before a game, and I used to scoop it dry, cool, and just suck on the sugar and just fucking be bananas.
Those Gatorade drops had nothing on you, yo.
Nah, God no. Mm-mm.
And our
And
final
believe me, my bones paid for it today. Trust me.
and the final question, obviously, playoffs are always in January. Super
Mhm.
Bowl is always in February. But beyond NFL playoffs, what's the one sporting event that you look forward to in January?
Probably national championship game, or and I got and the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble's mine.
Yeah,
Um,
national championship
I
and
like
the
the
Royal
national
Rumble.
championship game. I always enjoy it. I mean, the NHL New Year's Day games when they have them. I do like the fact that the NBA takes over MLK Day and does games all day. Um,
Right.
you know, national championship games dope, but for me, it's very rare that I'm really up to watch the national championship. When I say up, like really excited about it.
Right.
But Royal Rumble in January, from ever since I was a little kid to now, man, I've always enjoyed the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble was always awesome. This year's gonna be a little funny because it's the first time they're gonna have it in the dome without the crowd reaction. But last year, prime example, last year was almost a tearjerker. And it was one of the last times uh a crowd was there as far as a major pay-per-view. We were actually at the last crowd
Yeah.
in Elimination Chamber as far as pay-per-view wise. 2 weeks later, everything was shut down. But as far as a major moment is when Edge came back last year, that crowd reaction was bananas. And yeah, the Royal Rumble, yeah, it's probably my favorite
Especially when
sporting
it's in
event in
Philly.
January.
When it's in Philly and they're doing the 3, 2, 1,
Yo, but you know what's crazy? For like 2 years after that, like everybody did it, but it just wasn't as good as it was when they did it, when the Philly crowd did it.
Yeah, man, it's something else. Philly really loves. I mean, they love the sports, but they're wrestling too. There's a
Oh
lot
my
of
God, yes, yes.
yeah, man.
Yes.
That whole Northeast
Except for
corridor:
except
Connecticut,
for
New York, Jersey, Philly.
except for when you sit in the X uh
Why you gotta go there?
section.
Don't. Yo, at DM AJ and ask him about that, man. About what the X section is.
Yeah.
Listen, they had couple people from the Make a Wish Foundation there, man. Leave them alone.
Couple.
This is why I can't go nowhere with you and your son, man. So listen, this is pretty much our show. Just to recap with the playoffs, we're in agreement where we think that The Packers, Bucks, Chiefs, and Bills will all advance. Finish this sentence. With the 6th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select.
From Penn State University, Micah Parsons.
Boo. Boo. We want DeAndre Smith. We want a wide receiver. I'm kidding.
This is one of the rare.
I would totally would not boo that. I'd be totally happy with it.
Honestly, this is one of those years to where I think if you picked like five, like I would say at least 4 players, maybe even 5, depends on, Eagles fans wouldn't be mad. Like it's weird.
Yeah, Micah Parsons, DeAndre Smith, Jamar Chase. I think people are happy with those 3. Help me out with who the corners are. The corner from Alabama.
Patrick Surtain a second. And there may be some Eagles fans a lot. I'm just more concerned if he could come back and be the player he was at college. I think he'd be great. Would be Waddle, the other wide receiver.
Waddle, yeah. Who's the other top corner too?
There's Caleb Farley.
I don't know about number 6 yet.
With him.
But
I think he'll be okay. But I'm kind of.
I just listen. Nothing against these people. I don't want to see the corner that you talked about last week from South Carolina. I don't want to see Pitts from Florida, the tight end. I don't want to see a reach, and I don't want to see you draft a QB.
There may be a wild card in there that I would be like, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, is the Rousseau kid from Miami?
Miami? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'd be like,
I just think that there's so you could do so much better. I mean, to me, like he's not even predicted to be the top defensive lineman. I just had to double check. I don't think we need an offensive lineman, and I just think that
not that early.
The talent that you had a wide receiver and corner with the number 6 pick, like, and Michael Parsons,
Well, it's funny because a lot of last week, I haven't looked this week. It changes weekly, right?
Right.
Last week, there was that wild card, that J.C. Horn, the corner from South Carolina, and I was like, hell no. But then I think it was Todd McShay had them taking him, but as their 2nd round pick. I would not be mad at that.
I'm looking at the updated 7 hours ago from CBS. J.C. Horn is not even a 1st round pick in this one. Now,
Right.
According to this, they have us taking Devonta Smith. Michael Parsons actually falls all the way down to pick 18 with the Dolphins.
He's not making it that far.
But
there's no way.
Well, the only reason why they haven't fallen so much, everybody else is taking edge rushers, receivers, or D linemen or offensive linemen, except for the Giants. The Giants are taking a tight end. I don't see him falling that far either.
Because he's going to be an Eagle.
You know what? I would love to see Michael Parsons here. I would.
I would too.
But
once again, those other names we just said, the Devontae Smith, the Jamar Chase, the Patrick Surtain, I would be happy with them as well. So it's
right.
It's
I just do not want to see a reach. That's all. That's all I ask.
Right.
And I'm just for fun, I'm just checking one more. Sporting News has the Eagles taking Michael Parsons. So it's going to be
interesting. Had them taking Michael Parsons.
Yeah, honestly, as long as you don't reach and you don't draft a QB, I think we're fine. I'll be curious to see what happens. And
you don't want to see the QB factory?
Yeah, don't. No. I don't know. I do not want to see. I want to see it. I don't want to see no type of factories. I want to see a QB factory. I want to see us become the O-line factory, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. No factory. I'm good.
No factory.
But hey man, that's our show. Hopefully we're not breaking more Eagles news next week, unless if it's we hired a coach in a week. But any final words?
Yes. Speaking to just piggyback off of the Royal Rumble, the only thing left I had to say about Doug, in the words of Vince McMahon, is No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye.